Join the team. Yes!
Wheaton's got nothing on me. Seriously, I touched this thing, and now look at what I get. Wheaton's got nothing on me! Hey, this is the McGuire Review, and we are going to continue our series here on TMG. The 4 games that we're going through here: Bottle Cap, Vikings, Balloon Pop, and Zooscape. Today we're going to be taking a look at Dairyman, which is a brand new one from them, and I actually like this game a lot. This was actually one of my favorites, I would say, from 2017 that they have. Why? I don't know. It just, I kind of like the theme that they have on this one. It's kind of fun, as well as the gameplay. Now, this is a dice rolling game. It's a 2 to 4 players, 20 to 30 minutes. And I found that it's about right at that time, the 20-minute mark. Once you kind of get moving, you can get through it even a little bit faster than that. And 14 plus. So we'll go ahead and open this up. And like all these boxes, very small form factor, great for travel. They've got a really nice thick cardboard box that they're made out of, and they actually close really tight. So you don't have to worry about those boxes popping open and your stuff flying everywhere. So if we go into the box, what we're going to find, and I've already got mine kind of opened here and popped out of the little chipboards that it will come with. You will get some dice and some various other chits. We'll get those out here in a second. You do have kind of your main chits here that you're going to use, and these are sort of your orders that you're going to have over the course of gameplay. We'll talk about that here in a second. There is a nice little promotional piece they have here they put in, which I actually like when companies do this. They put these little booklets in where you can kind of see what else they have going on currently and some of the other titles that they have. So you'll find that in there. And then the last thing will be the rule set. And I'll show you that really quick. It's much like you're going to find in all of these small form factor boxes, a very simplistic rule set, kind of pamphlet style fold out back and front. With some nice color visuals of showing you how to actually play the game. So this game is very simple to set up. We're going to go ahead and get out all the components that we're going to find here in the game, which they do include a nice baggie for to hold all of that. That is something as well that I really like when companies put in that little baggie or sleeves for cards. It's just that extra touch to kind of protect the game, but especially these baggies. These are absolutely a necessity in today's age with all the different chits and dice and various components that you're going to find in board games today. So you do have 4 red dice. They are all a standard D6. So you can use your own dice for this if you want to, but obviously the game does come with them, so there's really no need to do that unless you want to replace maybe the little die that turns milk into cheese here. Unless you want to replace that with something special or maybe some of the red die, you have that option because they are a standard D6. There will be 3 tiles that will be included, which will simply have a little barn on them, and they will be marked 1, 2, and 3. And these little tiles here are what you're going to use as your main gameplay components. You're going to put those right out there in front of you. And essentially what that indicates is you're going to have upwards to 3 or more chances to roll and re-roll your dice. It's kind of a push your luck aspect as you go through this, 1, 2, and 3 barns. But if you're able to continue to go through that, you will get some benefit by getting to your 3rd roll. You'll get one of these little frost tokens, which can be used for 2 different things. And you will also get more points because each one of these is worth 10 points towards the orders that you're going to get here over in this stack right here. So you're going to put your dice out. Let's just say that I was set up for a 3-player game. A 3-player game, you would use 3 of these little red back order tokens. There are 5 that are included in the game, so we're just going to set those to the side there. We'll put 3 of them out, and we'll put all of our frost tokens up to the side here as well, so everybody can kind of get to those. And then what you're going to want to do is take this stack. Each one of these little tiles is actually double-sided. On one side of them, they have the standard, it's kind of the white side. They have the standard logo of what it is. This looks like kind of a jar of milk. And then they got, smaller kind of 6-packs of, or that's a 3-pack of milk. You got a jug of milk, a carton of milk. There's just various things. Here's a glass of milk. And you'll notice that on these cards, they do have a point value at the very bottom. So that's how much that is worth if you were able to acquire that. And it's how much it would cost to acquire that as well. On the back side is what it becomes if you turn it into either ice cream or cheese. Maybe I love that about this theme that, as you acquire the milk, if you have it too long and you get too many back orders, you might have to get rid of it. It spoils. But over the course of gameplay, you can turn the milk into cheese and into ice cream, which is pretty fun. And once you do that, it's kind of locked in. You don't have to, it won't spoil. You don't have to return it if you do get hit with too many back orders. And I'll explain that here, how that works in a minute. You'll see on this side, if you're able to flip this, then it becomes cheese. And it's worth 45 points, so it's always worth a little bit more on the back. And sometimes there's some little special abilities that'll be down here as well, and those will be clearly called out around the cards. They're very simple. It's usually things like, hey, re-roll everything that's a 2, or re-roll everything that's a 1, or re-roll all your dice. There's various things that it will indicate right there on the tile exactly what you need to do. And to note if you flip them or not, I'll show you these two as an example. You'll see it's up here in this very corner. This one has a little yellow die, and that means that you can turn it into cheese. And this one has a little frost symbol right up here, and that means you can turn this into ice cream. And each one of these cards will have one or the other. So as you're doing your orders, you're going to want to play your dice right to be able to optimize how many points you have in your own sort of little dairy farm, we can say. So what you're going to do is you're going to put all these tiles out here. You're going to shuffle them up. They all need to be face up, so the white side of the tile all face up. And you're going to draw the top 3. And you don't have to put those, they don't need to go in any certain order. They just need to go on the table. So we've got 3 of them here, and what I have is the 40 jar of milk and yellow option there to turn that to cheese. We've got a carton of milk, it looks like here, and that's worth 20. We can turn that to ice cream. And then this one here is a 3-pack of kind of glasses or bottles of milk. It's worth 10, costs 10 to get. And we can turn that into cheese if we're able to acquire that, and we get the right die roll. Each one of these little symbols here, especially for the cheese, you have to get a certain roll on the yellow die to be able to execute that. So gameplay is very simple. You're going to select your first player, and that's a player who has not had milk for the longest time. So you're going to want to determine who that is, and that's going to be the starting player. Okay, so the starting player is going to get all of these dice. All 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 white dice and 1 yellow die. So that person's going to get that. And let's say that we've got 1, 2, 3 players here playing. And what I'm going to do for this review is I'm essentially just going to kind of play out a few rounds of what this would look like. And that's the easiest way to explain this particular game. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to roll all those dice. So I got them all rolled. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my dice and I'm going to try to lock in sets of 2 or 3 dice that equal and exactly equal 10. And that's going to be set right over my number 1 barn here. So I'm going to look at my dice and I have, I have a 4 and a 7. That's not going to work. I have a 4 and a 4, which is 8. This is not looking good. So I do have a 6, but I'd have to use my yellow die, which is important later on in the rolls. So, but I don't really have any cards yet to be able to utilize that yellow die to flip something. So it's probably okay. So I could use my 6, I could use my 3 to be 9, and I use a 1, and that will be 10. Now on your first roll, you have to be able to at least get 10, or something happens called you aren't able to produce milk. So you wouldn't be able to draw one of these tiles, which means you're going to have to want to draw one of these back order tiles. And I'll show you how that works once we get hit with one of those. But, we got lucky. We were able to use 3 dice. They do add up to 10. We're good to go. Now, at this point, we would look at this order and say, hey, this is worth 10s. This first area here is worth 10 points. We do have some bottles of milk that are worth 10 points. I could stop right now and say, you know what? I'm just going to cash in my 10. I'm going to take this order, and it would be the next player's turn. Or I could push my luck and say, well, there's also something out here that's worth 20. And if I can get another set of 10 here, I'll have 20 points. And I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dice. So you know what? I'm going to push my luck. I think that I can get another set of 10. So I'm going to go ahead and roll them dice. And I think I've been able to do it. I have. So I have 2 5s. I can grab those 2 5s, put them right here. I now have another set of 10. My last 3 dice add up to 9. So if these added up to 10, I would also be able on this roll to stack them on this barn because they're all part of that roll. I don't have to roll again if I was able to make another set of 10, but I don't have that because I have a 4, a 3, and a 2, which is 9. So I could now choose to stop and take this 20 because I have 20 points, or I could take the 10 if I still wanted that. Or I could decide to push my luck again and roll these 3 dice and see if I could once again get a set that comes up to 10. You know what? I'm going to stop there as first player because I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. And the benefit would be if I was to get here, I could gain one of these frost tokens. And I'll show you what that does here in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this 20 and I'm going to put it right here. And I'm not going to be able to turn it into ice cream because I don't have any frost tokens yet. So that's the end of my game. I then would go to stack and populate a new order. The game is going to immediately end once you cannot populate 3 orders. So it isn't that you need to have every order in the stack gone. It's just until you get to the point where you cannot populate 3 orders. At that point, the game will immediately end. So I'm going to go ahead and stop as player 1. I'm going to grab the dice. I'm going to pass them to player 2. All right, player 2's turn. Let me roll that one since it fell on the top. 1. Look at that. Good Lord. I am infamous. Put a D6 in my hand. I will roll a 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ones out of 8 dice. Unbelievable. All right, so in looking at these dice, I do have a 6, I have a 3 as a 9, and that take one of my 1s will be a 10. So I'm good to go. I have a 40, a 30, and a 10. Got some high points on that one, but I definitely could get that 10. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dice left over. I'm going to go ahead and roll those. Let's see how many 1s I can get. I did get 1 1. That's okay. So there's my 6, there's my 3 for 9, and there's my 10. At this point, am going to go ahead and stop as well. I have 20 points to spend. It's 40, 30, and 10. Now, you don't get any change, and the only thing that I can buy is this 10, so the extra 10 was just kind of lost. So I was able to gain a order. I don't have my yellow die. It's already locked, and it is a 3, which indicates a 3 will allow me to do cheese, but it's already been used and locked here, so I can't use it. It would have to still be in my rolled pool and on a 3, and then I could use it to lock into here to turn it to cheese, but I can't do that yet. Next player's turn. Now it's the third player. Oh, got to put our last order out. Third player. Come on, third player. Let's get some big rolls. All right, we got a 10. There's locks in. We do have another 10. Actually, we have 2 more 10s. So in this instance, we could just keep all these sets and lock them into this first one and have a guaranteed 30 and just stop. It's very, very tempting, but you know what? I want a frost token, so I'm going to continue to roll. But what I'm going to do... No, I'm going to roll them all. I thought about locking in one of those just to give me that solid 20, but I'm going to re-roll all the dice. Here we go. Re-rolled. All right. So now for the second one, we've got a 6 and a 4. Perfect. That's my second. I'm going for the re-roll. I'm on a roll here. Come on, give me the third one. Okay, we've got a 5, a 6, a 1, and a 1. Ooh, not good, because what's just happened is there is no way for me to form 10 here. 6, 7, 8, 6 and 5 bust, 5, 6, 7 not enough. So I'm kind of out of luck. I basically just busted by trying to push my luck, and I have run out. I was not able to produce milk because I continue to try to go on. So at this point, what's going to happen is I'm not going to be able to take an order. I was not able to produce milk. I have to take a back order token. This back order token, if it is in your possession when the game ends, is minus 5 points. But there is a benefit to having these throughout the course of game because you're allowed to add a red die to your pool, and it counts as almost like another white dice for every one of these that you have. Now, you would say, well, then I just want to gain them all and always have all the extra red dice. Well, what happens is once the last one of these is taken, then what you do is the person that has the most of these back order tokens, and that might be multiple people kind of tied with that, they have to look across their tiles that they have and get rid of their highest point tile. Now, this is where it comes into play of wanting to turn these tiles to make them ice cream or cheese, because once they're turned into a product, it doesn't spoil, you don't get rid of it. So you do want to try to turn these tiles after you get them as quickly as possible. So this player does have a tile. That would be the turn over back to player 1 that has 1 tile. So we're going to roll and look again. So we've got a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have to use 3 of them to get that. That's our first. I'm going to go ahead and re-roll all these dice. And we got a 5. We've got, not good. Okay, we got a 5 and a 5, and that's pretty much all we can do in this instance. So I'm going to lock those in right there. And I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to stop. And that gives me 20 points. And there's nothing for 20. There is for 10. So I'm going to take the bottle of milk for 10. And again, the yellow die is locked, so I can't use it right now for anything to do with that. It is now the next player's turn. We're going to repopulate that tile. All right, player 2, let's go. All right, we got a 6 and a... Whoa! Oh, I'm going to have to re-roll because I totally messed that up and I don't know what... I believe it was on a 5. It was on a 5. We're going to leave it there. It was on a 5. So we're going to take the 6 and the 4. I love the 6-4 combination. We're going to put that on tile barn number 1. We are now going to go into a... I need a 3 on the yellow die to turn this. So I'm going to be watching if I roll a 3 on that yellow die. So, come on. Give me the 3 on the yellow. I need some cheese. Daddy needs some cheese! Didn't get it. So I am going to do a 5 and a 5, which gives me 10. And you know what? I'm going to push my luck because I want a frost symbol. I'm going for it. Come on. All right, come on, come on. And I got it. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I can use that to do 10. My yellow is not a 3, so I might as well just go ahead and lock that in. Now, by doing that, I do gain a frost token because I made it to the 3rd barn and I have 10, 20, 30 points to spend. And I'm going to go ahead and stop. Obviously, I only have 1 die. So right here, these are both worth 30. They're the exact same. I'm going to go ahead and take it. And I'm going to immediately cash in my frost token because this one says if you have a frost token, you cash it in, you can flip. I do flip it and it becomes a little chocolate ice cream bar, my favorite. It is still worth just 30 points, but it does allow me to re-roll any die, 1 die. Well, in this situation, it didn't really benefit me. I can do that and I get a 1. There we go. Excellent. Unbelievable with the 1s. Let's get to our 3rd player here, and then I think we'll call it for this gameplay example because I think we've now kind of hit everything that's within the game. So I'm going to go ahead and grab all the dice. Now, we do have a back order token, so we're going to pick up one of those red, and it now becomes kind of like a standard white. Let's see what we can do. Come on, 3rd player. Okay, so we got a 6. Okay, 6 and 4. So we're going to take that. There's 10. I'm going to keep rolling. I'm going for a big roll on this one. Here we go. Let's do this. We do have a... Let's just go ahead and take the yellow because I can get away with just 2 dice. And there's a 5 and a 5 to a 10. Let's re-roll. And we do have a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we did it. We got the 10 for the 3rd. We're going to gain that frost token. So we were able to come away with that, and we have 30 points to spend. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to pick up this order. I'm then going to immediately use my frost token and turn that little jar of milk into another bar of ice cream, which allows me to re-roll any 1 die. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to go ahead and re-roll this dice, and there's the 1. That does pretty much nothing for me, so my turn would be over. Now, the only other thing, I'll stop there and say what these frost tokens are used for, you're going to be able to use them to turn these tokens into ice cream, but you're also going to be able to use them if you have like maybe a little stockpile of them. You can use them to freeze dies. So let's say that you rolled all of your dice and, you know, you needed to re-roll, but it's like, you know what, I want to keep that 1/6 there. You can actually take one of your frost tokens, set it, you know, on the die, and now that die is locked as a 6. And let's say, you know, you used these 3 dice here to go for the first one, but you didn't want to re-roll. You want to re-roll, but you don't want to re-roll that 6. You can freeze that and then just re-roll these 4. And then, oh, there we go. I got my 4 to go with my 6. Perfect. Now I can lock that there. So you can also use those frost tokens to lock in the various dies. And I love that you can use these for a couple different things. It made sense to me that the yellow die would only be for if you got the right roll during your roll that matched something that you already had. Like if I was to be rolling and I have these jars of milk, and if I was to able to ever get a 3 that was... Oh, there we go. Yes! If I was able to get a 3, Demo Gods are with me, then I would be able to lock that one in there and say, you know what, I'm going to take that out of the pool, lock it here, assign it, boom. Now I've got my 3. I can turn this into basically looks like a scoop of cheese. I don't know, maybe that's butter, who knows. But you turn that into its product, and you're good to go. So that's how that yellow die would work. So I was happy to see that the frost, because the frost seemed to be kind of simplistic. It was basically just if I have one, cash it in, I can turn it over and make it ice cream. So it was nice to see using that component for another mechanic of locking down dice. That is Dairyman. That's the game. I absolutely love this title from TMG. I've had a super fun time with it. You can see just kind of playing through the gameplay, kind of how fun it is, and it does move very quickly. This, in my opinion, is an absolute perfect filler. It's done perfectly. It's got great components. They didn't overdo it. You know, could they have used little blue gems for the frost? I don't know. They could have. But, you know, I like these little tokens. I think they did a good job with the mechanics. The dice are standard, but they don't need to be anything outside of that. Again, it is a standard D6, so you can replace these if you want to add a little extra flair to your Dairyman game. And you know what? I may replace these whites with some standard D6 that have a little bit of a whitish kind of haze to them to kind of add a little bit more to that theme of what we got going on here with the milk theme. So that's Dairyman. Get yourself some milk. Nice job, TMG, on this one. So hit that like, click the subscribe below to join the team, ring the bell. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time.